the purpose only drives you so far, but the strategy to achieve that purpose has to be really structured and planned. You think you've got a really strong set of values, you can do all the right things, but somehow end up with someone that just doesn't fundamentally fit. The time I think I needed, though, was to develop my own confidence in putting my ego aside, to be the visionary and not make excuses for why I wasn't the integrator, until I really realised that that was okay and I was amazing at one thing and then just like really sucked at the other. That was a hard lesson in rejection, like really losing who you thought were colleagues and friends within the industry and then having to rebuild your relationships. At first it was uncomfortable, but it never was wrong. And then it just kept being right. We're no longer the disruptors, we're now leading the way.
You're listening to The Ultimate Leader's Edge, where we explore the mindset and methods behind great leadership. Today I'm joined by someone who's completely reimagined one of the most painful experiences a person can go through, divorce. Rose Cocchiaro is the founder and executive director of Resolve Divorce and one of South Australia's leading voices in modern family law. She saw firsthand the devastation traditional litigation left behind, so she left and built something better. Today, Resolve Divorce is one of the largest family law firms in South Australia, and in this conversation, Rose shares the honest highs and lows of scaling a business. Please welcome to The Ultimate Leader's Edge, Rose Cocchiaro. So thank you so much for joining me. I have known you for such a long time and always been an admirer, obviously, of everything that you have achieved. So it is such a pleasure to have you here. And what I love with these chats is that they're just like chats between friends, chats between honest entrepreneurs that are doing great things, but also the struggles and some of the real things that sit behind running a business. But to get us started, give me a little bit of the overview of Rose before starting Resolve Divorce.
Yeah, thanks for that. It has been a long friendship. I was just reflecting on when you just said that. I was like, we have known each other for like over 10 years, if not longer. Yeah. And it's funny how friendships like that develop and things that come from it. It's funny you talk about the Rose that's not resolved, because I don't actually remember her much anymore. And I mean that in the way that because your business becomes so infused with your identity that it becomes one and the same. And I do remember when I started Resolve, when I started formulating the values of the business, they were, and to this day still are, more or less, inherently my personality values that played out in business. And I think that speaks to a big part of what the business purpose then aligned with those values, and then how the business is framed from there. But the Rose before Resolve is and was a pretty similar type of person. And what I mean by that is I have always been quite a bold, forward thinker. I am not afraid to be open, vulnerable. I am speak my mind, and I'm very direct in the way I communicate. I also have a real sense of justice and fairness, and when something isn't right and it's not fair, I speak about that, and I speak about that very loudly. I have a very large Italian family and lots of brothers and sisters, and if they were all around this table and it was a big plate of pasta in the middle, kind of Italian dinner. That is absolutely my happy and crazy place.
Same. Food is the language of love.
It is. It absolutely is. But they would tell you that the woman I have become in business is the same child that was around the dinner table fighting every opportunity I could to stand up to anything that I didn't believe in and or that I didn't think was fair. Good old school Italian values. My dad, love him, but Italian through and through. So was very much like let my brother sit down while the girls had to get up and do the dishes. So that was something that as we grew up, my sisters and I very strongly rejected, and were encouraged by my mum to reject, and now that doesn't happen in our household anymore.
The women are
Dad knows. But yeah, so that's a theme, and so it was pretty obvious early on that law was going to be the place for me to let my personality shine. And a place to communicate in a way that would allow justice to be served, if that makes sense.
Because it's not a normal legal though, is it? It's not like the traditional one. You've kind of broken away and done something different in that space.
Well, yeah, even just coming back to my family are predominantly medicos. So my dad, my uncle, cousins, I have a whole brood of them that are all different types of specialists and doctors, and my sister. And I broke the mould when I went into law. And I remember my dad saying to me, and he was a big influence in my life, but saying to me, what do you want to do law for? Lawyers don't help people. Doctors help people, and doctors help people heal. And lawyers, they don't get a good rap, and they just want to be out there for make money. And I remember how offended I was by that notion, just that concept that, no, my values are deeper than that. I've got a strong sense of self, but also a strong sense of community and doing the right thing, and being able to help and support people. And I was just determined to not let that be my reality, even though I chose law. I just didn't know where it was going to show up though. It was only really through my legal journey through family law where I really realised an opportunity to give that a shot. But family law, first of all, wasn't my first choice. And I started off in law, in workers' comp and personal injury law, and thought to myself, I've made the biggest mistake of my life. So I literally, I left, I quit, and I went back to uni, and I did a marketing degree, and I kind of thought I'd just do something else. But something inherently pulled me back to law, and it was the pull to family law, because I'd had a little bit of exposure when I was at a generalist firm early on, and it was the pull to that impact on person-to-person impact, and then how helping one person turned into helping one family, that turned into helping a community. And I knew I could just do something in that sphere. But then I was very, very clear about what that meant for me and how that would fit with me. Resolve formed a good 10 years after that, from a whole different host of other similar, related, but other considerations, which were more around what the conservative practice of law, and family law particularly, was and was not doing for people and for the community, and how I thought to improve that.
To do it differently and boldly, and you didn't just kind of go and be a one-man band. Like pretty early on, you were thinking big, you're thinking about the big impact, you're thinking about the team, you did everything properly, even as a smaller operator, to set that business up to scale, which is what often people miss. What drove that in you? Like there was a real belief that this was going to be something that you could build and was going to have a legacy, almost be bigger than just yourself.
Yeah. I think there's an innate personality trait. So I don't just do things to be average, and that is certainly something that's come from my family. And we really all push each other, and we love each other to death, all my siblings, but we're very competitive at the same time. So we all really encourage each other to do better, look differently, think bigger. encouraged by my parents who have done the same thing. And to be in an environment where I was not able to really challenge myself or push myself beyond, I always knew that business ownership was for me, because I could think about the problem and really give it my own style and my own way of practice and being. But as it didn't take me long from starting Resolve to realise that scaling it was a good idea, and growing it into something bigger was just because I was so passionate about the purpose.
Yeah.
And that's just come out for me time and time again. Every time I get a moment of breath where I say, "Oh, are we done? Are we? Is this enough?" I go back to vision, purpose. Who else can we help? How much of the community can we impact? And could we go bigger? Could we go further? Could we do this better? Could we break this and start again and try that again? And how does that client experience fit with that? And what do the clients now look like that they didn't look like 10 years ago? And what do they need? And there's just constantly room for refinement and improvement. So while that's there, we just can't stop.
Keep striving. Through that time, what's been like some pivotal leadership lessons that you've learned along the way?
There are so many. For someone that talks a lot, a big one is to listen more than you speak. I think when you do that, you can learn. And I genuinely mean that on a basis of life in business is a continual learning opportunity and journey. And I have always, from the get-go, relied on business mentors and advisors, people that are doing business the way I like them to do, like the way I like business to look, that I want to emulate. And I learn from other people's doing, and most of the time it is people in other industries, not my own. And I often find that an idea from a manufacturing industry can look brand new in my industry, and it's about learning and developing from all those different mentors along the way.
But you do more than learn. You actually act. Like, you're a fast actor. I remember sitting and talking to you about a few ideas. I'd love to do this, rise thing, and then next minute, it's sold out, it's bigger than it can be. And so there's a real difference. It's one, you look for the help, you ask for the help, which doesn't always happen. You listen to the help, and then you act. That's a real skill to do. It's a lot of things that people do differently. What drives you to make that happen?
I'm a big ideas person. I have lots of different thoughts daily about the way to improve the way the business is run, to improve the client experience, to tackle this, to try this, to start a new women's platform networking, to do all of these things. That is only ever as good as its execution. And I have executed Resolve in a way that took me to a certain level, and until I then got to a point where I realised and recognised who else I needed to support me on that journey, and the skills that I didn't possess that would take me to the next journey, I then turned to Chanel, who is who you know, and who is my business partner, and we have elevated and scaled the business in ways I never thought possible. That is fundamentally because of my confidence and ability to recognise the skills I had and didn't have, and the skills in her that she had that I didn't have, and to put full trust in her ability to do that. And then just together it's blossomed.
How do you let go though? Like, often it's, when do you pick that time to bring someone on that journey? And how do you let go? Because all of a sudden you were over everything, and now you've got somebody else in there as well.
I've always said that instincts have been what has led me to make different decisions in business and created sort of the next level of growth, if you like.
Yeah.
I don't have an MBA. I considered doing it after a few years and then just went, nah. I think the on the tools training and then the mentorship has done that. Mm-hmm. How do I? So back to your question. Instinct led me to know
the right time
to trust the right person. Mm-hmm. And it's also choosing the right person, because she was very, very clear in her objectives, but also in her ability to show me what she could do and how she could. She always says, I just spent my time making sure that I made your life easier, and I gave credit to your ideas and was very honest about the ones I liked and ones I didn't like, but that we kept moving. Yeah. And now together we're so in sync that we keep moving in the right directions, provided it meets the operational goals, which are much more serious and responsible now. So if I can say anything, the bigger you get, the less fun it kind of can be, because it has to be a bit more planned, a bit more organised, a bit more,
You've got a rhythm and a structure, and
Well, that's it, and we've realised that the structure does dictate a whole lot of success, so this concept of getting out of my own way was a big lesson, if we're talking lessons.
Yes.
And if I had my time again, I may have done that sooner. The time I think I needed, though, was to develop my own confidence in putting my ego aside.
Yeah.
And allowing myself not to be the only one that could make a decision in the business, and accepting where my role began and ended, and where Chanel's role began and ended, and how when we did that together we could actually achieve so much more.
Yeah.
But that is very hard for a founder to do.
Yeah. It's a different buzz, isn't it? It's a different buzz from solving the problem yourself to seeing a team or a system solve the problem instead, isn't it? And so it's that real shift from doing everything yourself and knowing it can get done to actually enabling a team to be able to do that. So what advice would you have to organisations around systemising their business? What kind of role did that play in your business as part of your growth?
It's fundamental to scale. And just to speak to what you've just said, there's a power in being able to have an idea and then allow the execution to be managed by a system. And the system is structured but run in processes, but run by sophisticated humans that bring to life those structures and systems, but that then enables the execution. And those things would not happen, and our business would not be elevated to the level it is without all of those systems in place. But we often say that strategy dictates structure, and then the structure dictates the people. And we say that in the context of once we really we've always known our purpose, always known our values. They've been consistent from the crystal clear. But what hasn't always been clear, and what I've had business leaders and mentors support me to understand, is the purpose only drives you so far, but the strategy to achieve that purpose has to be really structured and planned in order for us to then break it down so that the rest of the business understands fundamentally what the strategy is and how they can achieve their strategy, the strategy within their own departments, if that makes sense.
So and you break that down really to an individual level, like your job scorecards, performance, career goals are probably some of the best I've seen, because you really depict and link it back to your why and the impact that each particular player can have back on that.
Absolutely, because if everyone understands, so we make a big deal of making sure everyone understands our purpose and our why and our values, and they can recite them and they understand the behaviours that sit underneath them, that inform why we're doing what we're doing, and then the strategy of how we're going to achieve the vision that is in line with the purpose. And so once they truly believe that, and that's a big fundamental part about that, is choosing the right people. So making sure the people that you have, the A players, as I know you like to call them,
we do,
are fundamentally aligned with your purpose, because when they are, they want the same things. They want to achieve the same things every day that you want, so it's easier. And then when you show them a very formulated strategy around, well, if we achieve A, B and C, then that we're going to achieve that purpose. How do we achieve A, B and C? Well, the different areas of the business are going to, these area A is going to be addressed by this business part of the business and that part of the business, and these people fit in there and these people fit in there, and everyone's very clearly then got their KPIs, their rocks, their understanding of what it is they need to achieve to then be part of the solution to that particular area of the strategy. Lots of people are on lots of strategy. We've got 5 strategic pillars, and lots of people are on more than one. There are some that are only on one, and it just depends on their role in the business. But they're very crystal clear on how they can achieve their goals, and they're incentivised by those goals, and their performance managed it quarterly. So that was an idea that we sprung from Bespoke, the quarterly performance reviews, where we really sit down and really deep dive so everyone understands whether they're on track to their goals.
It's a great rhythm, isn't it? And so because you've got such a clear strategy, you break it down into your rocks, you've got them into your scorecards, you're constantly talking about the values and the performance, but also the career goals as well, which you prioritise. Like, you make time for that. That was a big decision, and it also looks kind of cool too, right? Like, it's actually something that you've built that is in line with your brand. It's actually stuff that people want to be a part of, I think. And so, and talking about that though, because it's not easy. Like, people talk about a values-driven business, and you actually have one. How do you bring it to life? Like, what are the ways that you bring your values to life? I think you have your level 10 meetings, or your morning meetings. Onboarding is quite a big piece for you, but how do you test for values fit and really make that such a big part of your business?
There's systems again around making sure that those opportunities exist. I do mentor meetings with relevant players. It used to be everyone in the business until we got too big, and then it's just the relevant players in the business have mentor meetings with me, just around how to understand the DNA of the business. I like to think of myself as the heartbeat of the business. So how do I help you have that, be part of the orchestra, as we like to say.
Love that.
We love analogies. Chanel's the conductor. We have a regular cadence around our level 10, so we use the EOS framework, and level 10s have been epic to understand. We get the leadership team together every week. I sit in on it fortnightly. Chanel runs that meeting, and it's about hitting people's rocks, hitting people's, working out. We've got a few metrics that we track weekly. Everyone knows what to report on and to bring any issues to discuss. But it's like a pulse check meeting, but it's a good 2 hours weekly, which at first sounded like a lot of time. That now doesn't feel like enough time, because the amount of impact that meeting has to every function of the business that can then go off and just execute on all of the things. They know exactly the priorities.
That's the energy. Like, I've sat in on those, and they are just high energy.
And it gets people excited about the right thing. It gets people focused in the right areas. We need to move the needle on this issue, this person, this particular function of the business is where we need to focus this week, this month, however that looks. Fortnightly, I come in because once a month we have an exec meeting, which looks a bit up as opposed to down. I like to say that the downward looking in the weeds bit is the where Chanel shines and where her focus is, and where I inform the business is a bit more strategic and high level, and how can we take opportunities and what can we do with these. But at the same time, I like to understand the pain points that each of the people are going through, that each of the leadership team are struggling through, if you like, and put my perspective on it. And then the other fortnight just correlates with the end of month, so that I make sure I'm on top of all the end of month, and we do a bigger type of meeting at that time.
Yeah.
Every morning, bar for Wednesdays, we have what we call a 5-minute meeting. That is pulse for the team. That is energy for the team. That is getting all the team together, and really just sometimes we have different speakers, so we prioritise our network, people, the stakeholders that are involved in the delivery of service to our clients of different areas, or that deliver services to us that of information, or other lawyers, other mortgage brokers, financial, whatever might feed and be in part of our business operation. We like to meet and give people an opportunity to meet with us, so we'll do that usually on a Friday, but otherwise it's just where's everyone at, how's everyone feeling, what have we got, and we'll topic a different topic. Our HR manager's in charge of sort of putting together the schedule there. We shout out to people, we have gratitude 5 minutes where people will, and they go for 15, we call it 5 just to make sure that everyone knows that there's a limit. Where people just talk about all the values that they see in action. So back to your question about how do you live your values, it's just about
it's in everything,
bringing it, just bringing it to light in everything we do. In terms of hiring, big values assessment when we're hiring. I mean, there is every hire goes through a skills analysis as well as a values analysis, and they're drilled on whether they can achieve truly achieve the values of the business. Which includes
a bit of top grading, isn't it, that you've got in there?
It includes a bold way of thinking, like how comfortable are you with change, because this business changes fundamentally all the time. And how bold are you? Like how willing are you to stand up for what's right and stand up for justice and all those things? So and so that's I like to think about it as much of we're interviewing them, they're interviewing us, but it's also an opportunity for them to exit the interview process if that's just not right for them. So,
and that's exactly what it should be for. What about a challenging time, a people issue that challenged you? What was it? What did you kind of learn from it?
There's been lots along the way, and you think you've got a really strong set of values that you hire by, skill sets that you got great position descriptions. You can do all the right things, but somehow end up with someone that just doesn't fundamentally fit. We've had different experiences where we've known straight away, we've not known for a little while, we've tried to ignore it because we've been bamboozled by something else that they've done really well whilst other things are dropping. One thing that we have done is in recent times is with a particular higher exec role was totally restructured what we thought the role might need. So rather than blaming the role and the person that was in the role, rather than blaming the person, we blamed the role. Like we said, maybe that role doesn't exist in this business, and it wasn't necessarily. And so then we workshop and we collaborate a lot more than maybe people would think is necessary, but it means that we workshop, we get buy-in, and
then it makes it an easier process because everyone can, self-select in or out, can't they? So, okay, I love that. If you could go back and give your younger self advice, what would you say?
Work on the self-development and keep working on it and never stop, because I think the better I've learned to understand myself and what I want and don't want, and the better I have been able to be a leader, but then also be, create a scaled business. And if we're talking about scaling, that fundamental lesson of getting out of your own way and really recognising that it's okay. I think what I was trying to do before I read the book that really changed the way I thought about my role in the business.
What's that?
Which was Rocket Fuel.
Yeah.
So
The best.
Yeah, and it stems from traction, but the idea that I finally had permission to be the visionary and not make excuses for why I wasn't the integrator.
Yeah.
And until I really realised that that was okay, I kept trying to be something I wasn't. Like
being everything, the general manager, and it was like, well, hold on, I've got someone who can do that for me, and I can play in my happy space.
That's right. Yeah. And I just until then didn't realise why the two of them weren't matching up, and I was amazing at one thing, and then just like really sucked at the other.
Yeah.
Right. Like I don't want to look at financials, and I don't want to understand. And so I wasn't giving it the attention that it needed. I was accountability, holding people to account, being, all that kind of stuff was just not where. And so I let things slide when I shouldn't have, and I focused on the big shiny things and working on the new ideas and working on the promos and client experience and all the things I love and thrive at. So the business still was going really well, but it had gaps in it that were filled once I truly recognised that we needed the dance of both.
I think that's so good, and it's the permission to give yourself what your energy, fuels you and feeds you. And I think sometimes it's that piece where we try and be everything, but we actually hate it, and sometimes we can actually complement, and sometimes it's a gap analysis and we have to upskill in it. But I think over time, if you keep doing it and you're not enjoying it, that there's a gap.
Comes a bit with age too, right?
Yeah.
Like you just kind of go...
It's ego, right?
Yeah.
It's a change of ego where it's like you realise you want to be the smartest person in the room, but then you realise, actually, I want to be in the room where I'm the dumbest 100%. Because I'm going to learn the most.
You're going to learn the most, and other people are going to execute it for you better than you could, and you're still going to achieve everything you want to achieve age has helped me kind of really realise that. Like, I don't want to spend time in places I don't want to be.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, I mean, look at this business you've built. It is extraordinary. You've got the dream team. Everyone look at this as the Rose and Chanel, and they are envious. They're like, I just want that. The team is settled. The brand is strong. You do have now people coming to you. Like, you are magnetic. You're all the things that people are looking for. What's next for you? And you've got to that point, you've scaled, you've learnt your lessons, you've done your hard yards. Now you've got this business that kind of operates, and there's so much identity that sometimes as founders we put into a business. Where now for you? What does the next kind of business look like?
Well, it's definitely not seeing the end of Resolve, because Resolve, as much as it's fused with my identity, I'm now recognising the part that plays. There's a really important part, but it's not the only part. But there's a role for me in Resolve, and it exists in my genius zone and in the places I love to play. And there's a role for me in Rise, which is the new business that Chanel and I co-founded together, which is our women's networking platform, that has actually at the moment a life of its own. And it has come out of another passion, which and the same concepts of boldness and sort of standing up for injustice, if you like, but also speaking out in rooms and giving people permission to do that in places that and in environments where people don't otherwise feel safe to do that, and on topics that don't otherwise feel safe to do that. We know change. We've worked in change. Divorce is a transition. It is the biggest fundamental change most people go through, and as you go through life, if that's what you do, and so we talk about women in motion when we talk about Rise, in the context of every woman, no matter whether you're going through a separation, where you're going through
menopause,
everything. Don't go inside about menopause. Menopause is a huge topic, and it is a huge motion, and we did an event on that, and it went absolutely gangbusters, so we will be doing that again. But the concept of women in motion is we're always in motion, we're always doing something, we're always learning, we're always developing, no matter what age you are. You can have, and the concept of mentors too. So a platform is something I haven't spoken about, is what gave rise to Rise was that we had to form a network, and particularly I worked really hard when I was building my career to be the best family lawyer I could be. Became an accredited specialist, worked at one of the best firms, and formed this community and network around me.
Yeah.
When I launched into Resolve, all that network dropped. And it dropped I look back and realise the fundamental reason was I was disrupting a safe space for them, or I was disrupting what was otherwise a traditional space, calling it out for what was wrong with it, and encouraging the community to expect more from that space. So the people in the traditional industry were obviously threatened and concerned about, well, what does that mean for my traditionalist practice, and how does that... And so where I thought I was leading the charge in, hey, come look at this new way and it's actually better for everybody, not everyone thinks as...
Got a bit left out of the crowd.
But they also just don't think as big. And so I had lots... and the majority of the profession were sceptical of it, were negative about it, were hating, haters are going to hate. And so I felt a lot of rejection, from people who I had previously trusted, from people that were high in the industry, and to this day, from people that are in the judiciary, people that are in high positions, right? So it doesn't just fall from just, it is at all levels. And that is hard because my team feel it too, right? And so we spent a long time saying, oh, we're disrupting the industry, or we're leading the charge. And at first it was uncomfortable, but it never was wrong. And then it just kept being right and kept being more supported. And now we rebranded last year. We're no longer the disruptors. We're now leading the way in what is modern family law, because it just doesn't need to be that way anymore. So that was a hard lesson in rejection, like really losing who you thought were colleagues and friends within the industry, and then having to sort of rebuild your relationships. And I had to reach out to people in other industries. So I found my mentorship, my friendships, my connections, my life and business advice from people like you, Paulette, but also other people in business that were not in law or not in family law. And they became my tribe, my people, and that's how Rise began. We just it's like, oh, let's do lunch, or I want to workshop this idea, or what do you think of this, or are you going through this? And then all of a sudden it was a bigger
safe space.
Voice. And now it's just this big platform that everyone just wants to talk about and be part of, and it's cool.
I love that. A couple of final questions. You've answered one about the book, which was amazing. If a leader listening today wants to improve team performance tomorrow, what's the first practical step they should take? So, not getting results, need to get results. What would you tell them to put in place?
Practical steps. I'm going to go back to this concept of breaking the business. I feel like when we've gone through our biggest struggle in our people management, it was really rethinking, well, how are we set up for success, so that the next person that comes in, do they have everything from us that will give them their best opportunity to shine, rather than it being about them and their performance. Let me make sure that everything I'm giving them is in perfect working order, ready to go, and they've got every opportunity to thrive.
Like, just know what success looks like and be super clear about it. If you had a billboard for leaders everywhere, what would it say?
Drop the ego, get out of your own way.
Love that. Well, that is a perfect way to end. As always, thank you so much for your time. I could sit here and listen to you for hours.
That was fun.
I'm so proud of everything you've done, and I just sit back and watch the extraordinary business that you've built today. So congratulations.
Thank you, Paulette. Thank you, Ditto.
Thank you for joining us on The Ultimate Leader's Edge. I hope you enjoyed the episode as much as I enjoyed making it. We'd love for you to follow us, like and share, so we can reach as many leaders as we possibly can. If you want to go deeper in your leadership journey and stop being the bottleneck, then you can follow us at performancecollectiveacademy.com.